Okay, well, this is basically me. I'm going to go over why I like Naruto, basically why I like Naruto, and then I'm going to go over well, how I learned about it. Well, actually, I'll start with how I learned about it because that'll go into why I. So basically, when I was very, very young, we were very, very poor people, and we still lived in Tennessee at the time. I don't live there anymore. So I'm going to tell you I lived there because you're not going to hunt me down or anything if you know where I used to live. I mean, I live in a whole different state now, but I mean, when I used to live in Tennessee, we were very, very poor, and the reason we moved is so my mom could get a better job. Basically, at this point in time, I was very, very lonely. I barely had any friends at this point in time. Like, my childhood sucked. Like, I'm still only 13, so I still got a little bit more to go in terms of childhood, in my personal opinion. But I'm like really, really hated all the years back. Now going back on them, and when I was four or five, I was 2002. I know that for a fact, and I was born in 1999. So that means it was probably three or so, which is kind of disturbing. But anyway, I'm sitting in this bed, and my room is the living room too. I mean, we had our bed in the living room because we couldn't afford a decent sofa, so we just had this bed that sat sideways. And every night before bed, before I had to go to bed, my dad would turn it around, and I would just sit there and watch TV while I tried to go to sleep. And one night I'm watching Samurai Jack, I think it's called, and the episode ends, and I'm fixing to turn off the TV. Then Naruto comes on, and I'd known it had been on there for a couple days, but I didn't really like it. I didn't think I'd like it. And then it goes into it, and then it's the episode where Sasuke meets Lee, and basically Lee totally whoops him. And I'm just enjoying watching this, and he keeps going on and on and on and on and on up until the point where they get into the forest, and it's after the Konohama review. And at the time, I kind of liked the Konohama review because basically, originally Konohama review though is because it basically incorporated children, like younger children, and how they basically fit in the ninja world. They're useless till they're out of the academy. That's basically what they're trying to put in there. That's I think what he's trying to show. But basically, every night I would go in there, and I'd make sure my parents were asleep, and I'd turn on Naruto because it swore a lot. I mean, in regular Naruto, they swore quite a bit, if I'm right. I mean, like, Sakura would pretty much say she was going to kick Naruto's ass at least once or twice an episode. I mean, like, and then you just got all those things, and especially in the very, very beginning of Naruto, like, they used, like, words that they never wind up using ever again in the whole series. I mean, I'm talking like they're going and calling people dicks, and like they're telling people to like go eat shit and stuff like that. I mean, like they're doing some crazy stuff in the beginning episodes. But then after I got like older, and I'm like 10 by this point, I quit watching it because basically when we moved from Tennessee to my old house in Michigan, we basically didn't have much to do anymore. Okay, and we didn't have cable for like the first whole year we were there, so I had no way to watch it. We didn't have internet for the first like whole 3 or so years we were there. Then I got my PS3, which my grandma came and took from us for some that don't even ask. And then I got my Xbox. I got an Xbox. My grandma broke her PS3, and I didn't really have any games for my Xbox really that much. All I used it for was Netflix, so I basically gave it to her. And then I got Netflix, and then I got another Xbox last year, but the summer before last year, my summer going into 7th grade, my friend, I hadn't watched Naruto in forever, and then basically I'm 10 years old, and that's when I watched a marathon about the Chunin exam in Naruto, and I watched about 10 episodes. I skipped a lot of them because I had a babysitter that night, and basically we were playing like board games a lot, so I would leave, go watch a couple episodes, and I'd ask her to play a board game, and I basically got really distracted with that, and that was a poor night to have a babysitter. And basically, when I was going into 7th grade, I think, my friend comes up to me and he says, "Hey Nolan, do you know what Naruto is?" And I say, "Yeah, I know what it is." And then he's like, and then we go over to his house, and then he already knows I know what Naruto is. He said, "Do you mind if I watch Naruto?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't care." And so he's watching, and he's on the episode where Tsunade gets over her hemophobia fear in the second season, I believe. I want to say it's second one. Yeah, it's the second one. Yeah, it is the second one. Where she gets over her fear of hemophobia so she can fight Orochimaru. And basically I watched this and I'm like, yeah, that's not bad. Can we go back? And then I'm like, wait. And then I remember an episode where Naruto fought some guy that can do the palms thing. For some reason, I remembered him having orange hair, and I'm like, what the heck? And when I actually went back to watch it, and Neji was fighting him, I'm like, that looks nothing like the guy I remember. I must be remembering someone that looked kind of like, I remember him being someone that looked kind of like Gaara. And then he said, that's Sasuke that fights Gaara. And I'm like, well, that makes a lot of sense. They put like two most powerful people against each other in round one. That makes no sense to me. I mean, I don't know why he did that. I guess that's basically just to get like the gist of the fact that Sasuke can hurt, that Gaara can get hurt, which we would have learned a couple like 10 or so episodes from then. Regardless of who Gaara fought, like Gaara can get his butt whooped, as we find when Naruto beats him. But it doesn't matter. And so he goes back and he's like, "You want to watch part of the Chunin exam?" And I'm like, "Sure." So basically, we're watching the Forest of Death, okay? And we watch Naruto, and we're like watching we skipped that. I think we do that another time. We go straight to the exam. I think like the fighting portion of it, and basically we get Aryuka talking to Naruto, and I'm like, who is that guy? And he's like, I don't. And he's like, have you seen the first episode? I'm like, no. We go back to the first episode. We watch it up until we're done with Zabuza, and then basically that took us like 2 days. For some reason, we were really, really bad at it. Like we couldn't sit still and watch it. And then we got to the Chunin exam. We sat there for a whole day and watched it up till like, I think it was when Naruto fought Kiba, the second episode they were fighting, where Naruto finally accidentally farts and Kiba smells it and he like, and then uses like the Uzumaki barrage, which he pretty much copied from Saki's Lines barrage. And after that, one of my favorite fights in the whole series, Neji versus Hinata, takes place. I loved watching that. I don't know why. I mean, it wasn't even that good of a fight. I mean, it basically was just a slaughter fest. I mean, for an episode, they just sit there and they basically do this. Take their hands and they do this. They're like playing patty cake for 1.5 episodes. Then basically Neji turns it into a slaughter fest in about the second half of the second episode. Which Kiba obviously predicted when he said, hey Hinata, if you get drawn against that guy, or that guy, or basically anyone but Choji, I think you should give up. I thought that was very, very inspirational of Kiba. I thought that was great. I thought that was very inspirational. Basically, Kiba said, if you're fighting anyone but Choji or yourself, you should give up. That's the best idea I've got for you right now. I mean, that's the best advice. He said, don't fight Lee, don't fight Dozu, don't fight Gaara, and don't fight... Well, no, I think that is actually what he said. I think he started by saying, you don't want to fight the Sand Ninja. That's kind of obvious by this point. You do not want to fight Dosu. He just looked kind of menacing. You do not want to fight Lee because he's really freaking fast. And you don't want to fight Neji because that guy just scares me. That's basically what he says. But, I mean, that was one of my favorite fights. So, and then there was Lee versus Gaara, in which Lee gets 2 of his limbs broken. Basically, his chakra points are basically destroyed, and like his arm and his leg. He's crippled for like so many episodes after that. I mean, like almost. I didn't even expect him to be crippled for almost a season and a half. I think, like almost the whole second season and half of the third season. And basically, if there's a part of Naruto I wanted you to skip, just while I'm talking about the seasons, do not watch Season 4 of Naruto because it has no relevance up until the very, very last arc. And even that doesn't have much relevance to anything. It basically just shows that Gaara can basically suppress Shukaku now. That's all it does. I mean, if you couldn't figure that out just by not being stupid, then you're stupid. I mean, basically you should know he can do that. But, I mean... Then we go and we watch The Forest of Death, which we had a lot of fun with. We just had a lot of fun with it. And we eventually got to the point where we were watching the Tsunade thing again already. And I don't know why I watched it again. I'd already watched it in like a week before, I think. This took us about a week to watch up all the way up to that point. Then, like a week after I start getting back into it, we're already done with the whole series, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do now? I don't know a way to like read more into this. I don't know what happens next. And I see a book, and I see part about the Sound Ninja 5, and I'm like, wait, this isn't the end, this can't be the ending of Naruto, that doesn't make sense. Just, like, basically Naruto and Sasuke fighting some guy with a lightning sword. That can't be how Naruto ends. That makes no sense. Besides, the fight's not even freaking finished. I mean, they didn't even finish it. It's just kind of happening, but it's not done. By this point, I'm like, okay, now we know there's a problem. I don't know what to do. And basically, here's what I wound up deciding, that we can solve this problem by hoping they add more episodes. And so we waited like half a year, up until like almost halfway through the 7th grade year, and they added the Sasuke running away Majigger, and we finished that, and we're like, oh, well, that made a lot of sense. Naruto can pwn him, and Sasuke can't. That's kind of the point they're trying to get across. The Naruto and Sasuke fight on the roof, which is arguably one of the most annoying fights ever. Just for the instance that Naruto was completely caught off guard by the request of it all of a sudden. And I don't even think he was caught off guard as much as Sakura was, so I mean, it was basically a waste of their time. And then we get the whole them running away, and then we get like Sasuke fighting the Sound Ninja 4, getting his butt completely handed to him on a silver platter. And then we get them running through the woods. They put Sasuke in a barrel, like he's freaking Donkey Kong, and then we go through the woods, and we basically see, I guess you could say, we basically just see him like being used as somewhat of a football, I guess you could say, because when they're hunting down the Sound Ninja 4, they're like passing him back and forth, like, here's Sound Ninja 4, catch, and then they're like, hey, random 5 Konoha children, why don't you take Sasuke for now? And they're basically like playing football inside of like a small patch of trees, and by the end of it, you're just like, Sasuke, do you still have any brain cells left? I mean, your body was shaking around so bad in that freaking barrel, like, I mean, you gotta question, I mean, how did Donkey Kong do that and not throw up? I mean, of course Sasuke was unconscious, but I mean, you gotta wonder, like, oh, and also, basically, I'm kind of worried about that whole barrel thing, so basically, Sasuke can say that he died, and through dying got more badass. Can you say that? No, you can't even say you got anything from dying. You can say you died, but you can't say you got anything from it. And all 5 of them can say that. So go suck the cock. And basically, thing with this is that I really, really, really hated. I thought Kimimaro and Neji was one of the best fights in Naruto, and no one paid it any attention. Like, no one really paid attention to that fight. I'm just like, what? Like, if you're not gonna like treat that like the sexiest fight in the world, you can go F yourself. That was the best fight in Naruto, in my personal opinion. Besides the Sasuke versus Naruto at the end of the series, basically, when the rest of it's just like 3 and 2 and a half, and like a season and a half of filler. I mean, the only thing you can really get from that's important is we get to learn a 7 swordsman, one of the 7 swords. We get to find out that Gaara can suppress Shukaku, and we get to find out that Naruto likes to go on a lot quests with a lot of different people when Sakura's out of freaking town and Sasuke's out getting like raped by Orochimaru. That's basically all we learned from this. And just a waste of your time. But yeah, basically this is kind of how I was introduced into Naruto. I got introduced to it when I was very, very little, thanks to Cartoon Network, by the way, if I didn't mention that. And then my friend happened to be watching it 2 or 3 years ago, and basically this got me back into it. So basically that's all I wanted to say. So if you like the video, leave a like, you can subscribe, you can leave a comment below if there was something you didn't understand, which doesn't really make sense for this particular video, because basically it's just me talking about a bunch of random shit. So I mean, it doesn't really matter. I don't know what you wouldn't understand, because you weren't really supposed to understand in the first place. So basically that's all I was going to say, and I hope you have a wonderful day.